Hi, and welcome to Developing Leadership Skills and Build Up That Resume or College Application. Now, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about what is out there available to your children to help them explore their interests, talents, and passions while developing leadership skills in a hands-on manner. And this is really geared toward the older kids, especially high school. Um, as you want to get those experiences to not only help them explore their interests and possible future career opportunities, but also give them the hands-on experience to gain knowledge, skills, identify their talents, make contacts for the future, all so that they can build up their college applications, job resumes, job applications. They can build a network of people who've seen them in action, have gotten to know them, that can work as references, write letters of recommendations, maybe even give them a stepping stone to their next step in their career. I'm Katie. I'm a former teacher and a homeschool mom with over 13 years of homeschool experience with my guys. I have an English degree and a secondary education degree, and I've taught in all kinds of classroom situations as well as teacher training. And I've approached kind of an eclectic mix of homeschool with my guys. They've graduated with master's degrees with distinction as a result of not only looking at traditional curriculum, but also combining it with a lot of these hands-on opportunities that I'm about to show you and share with you. First, I'd like to just offer a couple of book recommendations that you might consider including into your schooling, either free reading or as part of maybe a life skills course, maybe a semester-long course in life skills, or add it to another course that they might be taking with you. But they're very valuable resources, and they offer very good perspectives in developing interpersonal relation skills as well as leadership skills and just a self-reflection. And they're terrific for personal development. The first one is Seven Habits of Highly Effective Teens by Sean Covey. And this one I can recommend even starting in middle school. It shares how to deal with just people in general, certain situations, how to learn how to navigate certain situations. It's very practical, and it gives you example scenarios of how your child should approach certain situations. And I highly recommend it because it does give them some ha-ha moments. It gives them some tools in how to deal with some things. One of the most important ones that was always a big one in our house, and it still is, we may not be able to control the situation or the people around us, but we can control how we react to them. And that is such a key thing nowadays. Another one is called QBQ, the question behind the question. And this one is really, the subtitle to this is what to ask yourself to eliminate blame, complaining, or procrastination. And this is by John G. Miller. And I found this a great book. It's an easy read. It's not complicated. This would definitely be more of a high school book. But if you've ever found yourself in a situation where, especially with customer service, and something has happened and you've explained to them something that wasn't going the way it should have gone, and you've had either a person working for that company tell you, well, that's the policy, I can't do anything about it, click. Or I didn't do that, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know what you want me to do about that. That can be pretty frustrating. And then it's a breath of fresh air when you know the person you're talking to they're not the cause of what's happening. But yet they look at you and say, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. How can I help make this better? Or let me look into this and see if I can get a solution for you. You're like, oh, wow, that's fantastic, right? Just because of the response they gave you. That's what QBQ is really all about. The last one, again, this would be for the upper high school, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And this has great practical scenarios of life and how to just handle yourself when dealing with other people and the best approaches to take in order to make really it a win-win for everybody. And those I would really highly recommend to try to include those in some sort of life skills course or even just for free reading. Now, next, I want to make sure to remind you to don't forget this swag bag item. You're going to want this resources to develop leadership skills from this workshop because it has all the details that we're going to be discussing and the links. The links are really what's important here. And this will give you the information that you need to look further into these opportunities that I'm going to share with you. And these opportunities, as I said, are really invaluable. And they can also be used to add to credit hours for courses on their transcript or to help them complete their high school years. Now, there are going to be different kinds of leadership opportunities. We're going to look at outside interest groups, apprenticeships, more volunteer, like unpaid internships. There's some also a couple paid internship opportunities out there, volunteer jobs and paid jobs. Now, some outside interest groups would include YMCA. And YMCA is not what you would think. It's not the village people. YMCA is more than just the gym that you might attend or maybe the breakout camps that you see the public schools kids or after school care that you see going there in the afternoons. They have a lot of different programs that you might not even be aware of, and they are educational. They can be used to add to credit hours if you've got any kind of civics/government type course that you need to complete for your transcript. And if you are wondering about what kind of courses are needed in high school, you need to definitely look at the workshop that I have for graduation requirements, courses, credits, transcripts, oh my. And I go over in detail what courses are required during high school and how these opportunities can be the hours spent on here in these groups can be added to reading and research and learning and papers and things like that to courses that can go on to your transcript. So with YMCA, there are things available like moot court, mock trial, where you've got these wonderful public speaking and persuasive argument skills as well as critical thinking that's involved in being a lawyer. And my son did this and had a great time. Leaders Club, you've got a year-long leadership training program with volunteer opportunities there. Campers in leadership training, this is early high school where they can get to work with children in the summer camp, and they're really more in volunteer opportunities in various settings. That's a great way to give them the experience they need to apply for maybe a more higher level camp counselor job that they might look for in their later high school years. You also have junior lifeguard programs in case they want to become a lifeguard during high school. And there's also different kinds of uh, leadership training involved with the YMCA that you can learn how to prepare a resume, go through interviews, and they can get ready to become a staff maybe for YMCA. So that would be a way to get your foot in the door for an actual job. Now there's also community theater to consider. So with acting, you've got the time management and the discipline in learning lines and practices and rehearsals and shows and public speaking, obviously, and presentation. Both my kids participated in community theater, and it was a wonderful experience. There's also lighting and sound if you have a child who wants to gain experience in technical skills. And you've got set where you have construction, art, time management, stage management, direction, coaching, time management. You've got costume and makeup where you've got a child who's interested in textile arts and they have to do research according to what kind of costumes during the time period of the setting of the play, time management, because you have to these all have deadlines to try to get the show on the road. Marketing and in-house management, if you've got maybe a possible businessman, public relations, marketing, ticket sales, crowd control programs, facility management, and managing of the ushers. So these are all great hands-on experiences. So when you think about a play, you may not realize that there's all these opportunities here that your child can gain all this experience. And not the experience, but also, as I said, some hours that can be applied toward drama credit, art credit, public speaking credit. And also they can see if there's maybe some opportunities there of, future passions or interests that they might learn that they have or talents that they have. There's also awards and scholarship opportunities in most of these types of opportunities I'm going to be sharing with you. Another group would be 4-H, and it's not just cows showing at the state fair. They have all kinds of programs besides agriculture. They have STEM, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, environmental science, computer science, robotics. You can work with Google in learning, where you're teaching maybe senior citizens how to use a computer, visual arts, theater, civics, shooting sports, international exchange program, community service. There's also different types of presentation and public speaking type of demonstration competitions with the state fair and then regional fairs. And those are all great opportunities as well. They have 4-H Tech Change Makers where they go into underprivileged areas and teach digital skills to the residents there. For teens, there's a 4-H Congress, a council for teens, an honor club. So there's different opportunities to get some leadership roles, practice leadership skills, and the different programs that are with 4-H can definitely dive into some subject areas or career areas that your child might be interested in. And as a side note with 4-H, they might get to know the extension officers that are involved in your county or your area. And so if their career focus is something having to do with agriculture or farming or something like that, that helps them make connections in the area. Another area of opportunity would be Scouts, Order of the Arrow, venturing. There's a lot of different Scout type troops that are affiliated with churches that you might want to look into as well. If Scouts, Boy Scouts group is not BSA, or now it's calling Scouting America, is not your thing. Look into those that are involved with the churches. Again, this is all in the swag bag with links, even with the alternatives listed. My son, a number of years ago, was involved in Scouts. Not only was he involved in the scouting portion, where they have opportunity to have different roles within their patrols, but then you've got leadership with like the assistant senior patrol leader and the senior patrol leader, and then in the little patrols you have a patrol leader, and then you have someone who is I can't even remember all the different quartermaster and all these different roles inside the patrol. So they all take turns and they all have some kind of responsibility. Then, of course, you have the badges. Now, if you don't want to be involved with earning the badges, which I recommend being involved in something like this because it does give you goals to work toward and the achievements can be very rewarding. And my son actually became an Eagle Scout. And you can see some pictures here of his experiences. And here he is with his Eagle Scout project, where he is leading fellow scouts in completing this project. The books alone are terrific if you're looking for something for curriculum with content, everything from auto maintenance to zoology. And they have hands-on, they have facts, they have information, research, and hands-on projects to complete. And so just one book alone on auto maintenance might be enough hours to complete an elective for auto maintenance. But I go into that in the other workshop for graduation requirements. For the scouting, there's also the Order of the Arrow, which is kind of an offshoot of that. And in those opportunities for Order of the Arrow, they have so many different leadership type positions, and that your kids can get involved in. Where, for instance, you could be over almost 2,000 scouts, and you could be in charge of a committee, and if you're like the head honcho, you're in charge of all of these different committees, and you could be in charge of just one of the committees. If you're in charge of that particular committee, it could be about finance, it could be about communications, logistics, event planning. So there's so many different ways to be part of that. And then there is even leadership positions all the way up to nationwide. So it's a terrific organization as far as getting some leadership roles and responsibilities, as well as the Eagle Scout Awards. And again, there's all kinds of awards, scholarship, job opportunities, national and international jamborees, national positions. If you've got a child who's very interested in scouting, there's even jobs within the scouting organization. And obviously, being very active in scouting, that would help you get a foothold towards one of those jobs if your child decided to go that route as opposed to going to college. There's also summer camp jobs that they can get involved in, and those, again, you could be a merit badge instructor, you could be in charge of the whole camp. So there's tons of different opportunities there, and again, lots of contacts for references, recommendations, character references, and so forth. And as you can see, these are a couple of different other pictures too about some of the opportunities here. And some of the church-based scout alternatives that I mentioned might be Royal Rangers, Trail Life USA, American Heritage Girls. Again, those are all great organizations where your child learns a lot of skills that are going to come in handy, personal life skills. Now, another group is called Solar Patrol. I had another son who was involved in this group, and it was based on different workbooks and modules, and one was aerospace and another one was leadership. And they had to study the modules, complete different things throughout the modules, and take a test. And they would go from one module to the next and from one rank to the next as they complete each leadership module and each aerospace module. And they also had to complete fitness requirements, and those aligned with Presidential Fitness Award standards, which was the whole program was phenomenal. An offshoot of that was the Ranger program. If you had a child who was really more interested in the outdoors, they had search and rescue, ground operations, FEMA training, where my child was able to get a ton of FEMA certifications, the actual adult FEMA certifications. Great training. Medic and wilderness survival opportunities. They also have ranks and leadership opportunities to rank up with that as well. Not only did he receive FEMA certifications, but he went through first aid and safety, he learned emergency ops, he went to a Ranger Academy up in Hawk Mountain in Pennsylvania, and they lived off the Appalachian Trail for a week. And it was, he just loved it. If your child is able to achieve a certain rank within the CAP, they may be able to then, if they want to directly after graduation enlist in the Air Force, they may be able to enter at a higher rank. So that would be definitely an advantage of getting involved in CAP. It would also be a nice thing to have on the job application, a college application, if you were applying to the Air Force. It's not a shoo-in, Air Force Academy. It's not a shoo-in, but it would definitely look good. You also have Cyber Patriots as part of CAP, which the cybersecurity training and competitions are phenomenal. There are other alternatives if your school district does not allow homeschoolers to enter junior ROTC. There's also Young Marines and then also other type programs around. So I highly recommend something like that, especially for, let's say, 13-year-old boys who are looking to, find themselves. Another program that is great for not only just hands-on experience and for exploring what career you might want, but to gain experience in a career, especially if your child is going to go into a career as opposed to a four-year college and go through that route. The Explorer programs allow kids to learn and work, shadow, train, and learn with people in different career fields. You are really in their field. My son was involved in the police explorers. He loved it. He was deciding between military, police, that kind of thing. And he participated with the police explorers and was able to go to a competition where they demonstrated skills that they had learned. He was able to ride in a squad car. He was able to go to the local police academy and pretend to be a criminal during role playing and actually be part of the training of some of the cadets, as well as even a SWAT training at one time. So this was all very exciting for him, very interesting. They have fire, EMS, arts and humanities, aviation, business, communications, engineering, technology, healthcare, law and government, science, skilled trades, social services, and you can see that it's a very broad area. And again, I have these links in the swag bag item, so you'll definitely want to get that. They have opportunities for trips to competitions and in-field experiences. And again, you're working actually with the people in the field. So if that's a career you want to go into, your child is going to be working with people that could give them a good recommendation. Some community type opportunities for experience. You can look into the local area. You've got teen local jobs or training opportunities. Maybe your town has some kind of a town teen council, local camp counselors. Our area had a teen council kind of thing that you could apply to be a library page for the summer. And at the end of the summer, he did such a nice job, they offered him a job as a page, but he was on his way to his first year of college, and it would have been too much to handle that plus the first year of college. So we kind of backed off on that opportunity, but it was a great experience for him. And they also, both my guys worked with the state page program with the local government, and they were pages for a week with a local senator. And that was very interesting. And they were able to use some of those hours toward their civics/government credits that they needed for their transcript. So again, you can use some of these hands-on learning experiences as actual credit on their high school transcript to help them complete their coursework. And it also looks good on job applications and college applications. You can combine things that have to do with civics with maybe working election polls or assisting a political party officer and so forth. There are programs such as Generation Joshua and Team Pact. They offer different types of leadership training as well as hands-on opportunities to get involved with civics. You have the American Legion, where your boys or girls can apply with an essay and an application and an interview to participate in something called Girls State or Boys State, which is a week-long mock government experience with participants from around the whole state, whichever state you live in, and they create like a whole mock government from towns up to the governor. So you have participants in all three branches of the government, and then they have a competition. And these are great for contact information for references, recommendations, award opportunities, scholarship opportunities. And then you have unpaid and paid jobs. So as I said, you could be an out of town, you could be in town camp counselor kind of thing, or you can be an out of town camp counselor. And my son was looking on the internet and found that a camp in our state a few hours from here was looking for a camp counselor, and so he was worked on the range with the archery and the shooting because he had certifications for shooting. And my other son was a scout camp counselor because he was very involved in scouting, so he was able to be helping on the scout staff for summer camp. So these lead to actually paid jobs, some of these interests, if your child takes advantage of it. Now, if you can also have your child maybe approach local people with interests that they have, such as the SPCA or a veterinarian or a farmer, maybe even volunteer to work a few hours, and then maybe when their work ethic and skill is seen, maybe they'll be offered a full-time job. Or if they have digital experience like a lot of teenagers do, they can find an online position helping a small business person work on their digital needs, social media marketing, or even on Fiverr. They can look online for unpaid internships for that are online, so that if they're away, then they don't have to travel. Obviously, there are a lot in DC that are unpaid, and a lot of people end up having to pay rent and room and board and so forth for their child that you have an unpaid DC um, internship. But there are some online internships. Now, there are a couple paid. They're far and few between in DC. If your child wants to go to DC if they're interested in government, it's a great experience, a great opportunity. Heritage Foundation has a paid one where it's a stipend to help pay for housing that Heritage Foundation supplies. It's not much, but it's something, and it is a good opportunity if your child is interested in getting to know DC and working something to do with civics or the government, and that's a think tank. And then there's also a paid fellowship if your child qualifies, and that is fully paid. And that's also at the Heritage Foundation. And again, all these links are in the swag bag. Local businesses might be hiring. Chick-fil-A has a great customer service training program that's very highly regarded even by other businesses. And they actually will hire based on the fact that teens have been trained by Chick-fil-A. Now, remember to document all your activities, and I have a sheet included, several sheets included, in the swag bag for you to document everything that your child has done. It also helps you keep track of what your child's done. So if you want to apply certain hours from the sheet and the experience to credit hours, it helps you keep track of the hours as well. So the sheet allows you to write the name of the activity, a description, the hours, any kind of roles and responsibilities or awards they've won, and keep note of that for future job applications and college applications, scholarship applications. All that information comes in handy. And also the last column is for mentors or contacts having to do with that group. And those come in handy for personal recommendations as well as college applications and job applications. So what to do now? You want to make sure to download this item, swag bag item, because it has all these links that you're going to want. Now, you also want to make sure to connect with me because I have all kinds of valuable insight into what it takes really to get launch these kids off into the future. Both my guys, as I said, they participated in a lot of these different activities and they were able to get accepted into both their colleges, and they graduated with honors from their bachelor's and their master's. So this stuff really definitely does work, and they've done very well in their jobs. Now, to find me, you can go to Pinterest, Katie's HS Cottage instead of Homeschool Cottage. My YouTube is with Katie's Homeschool Cottage. Facebook's also Katie's Homeschool Cottage, and I have a Facebook group called Homeschool Mom's Corner. I'm on Instagram, and you can find me at katieshomeschoolcottage.com. Every student has special talents. It is our duty and privilege to find these talents and to adapt our lessons to best implement them. And another note just to leave you with, you can teach a student a lesson for a day, but if you can teach them to learn by creating curiosity, he will continue the learning process as long as he lives. And I found that exposing my kids to these kinds of activities, it not only helped them find their talents, their own skills, interests, and passions, but it definitely ignited a love for learning and an insatiable curiosity. Thanks for joining me, and I hope that you found this valuable. And remember that swag bag item. It's got everything in it that you need.